Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Tanya and I am late diagnosed autistic and ADHD, and let's talk about it.
So, what made you seek a diagnosis?
Basically, I started having a lot of issues because I didn't know that I was in burnout because I didn't know what burnout was, but I was definitely in burnout. I was under a lot of stress. I was working and taking care of home and just taking care of day-to-day life, and it was just really burning me out. And then once I had an accident roller skating and broke my wrist and was off work for a few months, when I went back, I could not get it back together. I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't get it back together. So I started talking to my therapist about it, and she started asking me questions, and basically she was assessing me, but I didn't know she was assessing me, and I thought I was just answering these questions. And at the end of the questions, she says, looks like you have ADHD.
Did your ADHD diagnosis surprise you?
No, not at all. I have a child that has ADHD. So once I recognized what ADHD was, yeah, I kind of back then, once when my child was diagnosed, I kind of was like, sounds a lot like me. However, for some reason, that thought just left my mind and didn't come back. So all of the time that I was spending trying to figure out, like, why can't I remember stuff? Why can't I organize things? Why can't I, you know, do X, Y, and Z? It just, I don't know, the thought just was not, it wasn't registering. But when she said it, no, it was not a surprise.
And did you feel a sense of relief when you got your diagnosis?
I did. I did feel a sense of relief, because it's like it explained a lot to me. It explained that I wasn't disorganized because I wasn't trying hard enough, or I wasn't like forgetting things because they weren't important to me, or because I was not trying hard enough to remember them. So, yeah, it definitely brought a sense of relief. It gave me like an idea of, okay, I can figure out what other people are doing that have the same thing that I have going on, and maybe that will work for me. So it gave me a sense of direction as well.
And at what point did you realize you had traits of autism?
Um, I feel like once I started taking the medication, one, for ADHD, that was one thing that made it really come out. But also the fact that I was doing all of this research on ADHD, and I kept getting these videos popping up about autism, and it's like, why do those keep popping up? And at first I was ignoring them, swiping past them, keep on going, watching the ADHD stuff. And finally, I just got tired of seeing them pop up. So I just clicked on one, like, what is this about? And I was like, whoa, it's about me. And I related to the autism more than I did to ADHD.
And what were some ways you cope with your traits?
I cope with my traits by like I'm learning how to unmask. Because I think that that's a huge part of what sent me into burnout. The fact that I've been masking for over 50 years. Like, well, I wouldn't say over, because I probably started masking around age 4 or 5. So yeah, I've been masking for almost 50 years. So that definitely was a strain. Like it was draining me. And once I started to unmask and started to allow myself to stem and started to allow myself to do the things that I enjoy doing and not worrying about like people saying that I'm being childish or adults don't do that. Like I like things that are more like my sense of fun is more so things that younger people do, like roller skating or jumping rope or things like that. And I know adults do that too, but a lot of times like people just look and be like, why are you always gravitating towards those type of things? That's not like, let's go do something else. And I'm like, that's not fun to me.
And would you encourage others to seek a diagnosis?
Um, I would encourage others to look into themselves and get an understanding of themselves, not necessarily to seek out a diagnosis. I feel like that's a very personal decision. I knew that I was autistic for 2 years before I went and got a diagnosis, and I did extensive research. Like, I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt. I went through the DSM-5. I, watched autistic content creators that were late diagnosed, and I paid attention to like the things that everything that people were saying that they experienced. I paid attention to that, and then I read up. I did research. Like I did so much research, it's just insane. All the way back to childhood, and I measured it towards like against other things to see, okay, make sure that it's not PTSD, it's not social anxiety, it's not this, it's not that, and it's not any of those things. Like these things have been with me from childhood, and I remember like masking in childhood because people would tease me and say, oh, Tanya's got another habit, she's doing this now. And really they were stems, and I would hide them from people, and I would start doing things that other people wouldn't notice, like curling my toes up in my shoes or just flicking my fingers or something more subtle than what I used to do.
And how would you say your loved ones and family took the new diagnosis?
Um, they took my self discovery a bit better than they took the diagnosis. When I first started telling people that I felt autistic, that I was autistic, this is when I was still doing the research and I wasn't sure. People would even like, a lot of people was on board with it and was like, yeah, because I remember when you were a kid and you used to say this and you used to do that and you used to carry this little toy around everywhere, and you named it and called it this and you did that. And I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I remember that toy, and yeah, I remember that. And and they're feeding into it. But then like the more I talked about it, the more pushback I got, because autism became my hyper focus. Like that's all I talked about, that's all I researched, that's all I was thinking about because I needed to know. So once I figured it out and I knew for sure, and I told people I was sure, they told me you can't diagnose yourself. And I'm like, why not? Who knows me better than me? So you mean to tell me that I need to go to a therapist and they ask me questions about me, and then I tell them answers to the questions about me, and then they say, yes, you're autistic. Why can't I ask myself those same questions? The questions are there. They're not hidden. They're not secret questions. Like, you can ask yourself those same questions and get the answer that you're looking for, whether you are or you're not. So, but they didn't believe that, because I've always been a know-it-all. Like people always say I'm a know-it-all. So I went and got the assessment, not because I was trying to prove anything to anybody. I just wanted that stamp on it. I wanted that, that stamp from a therapist, a professional, to say, yes, this is not just my opinion. This is not just in my head. This is not just my fact. Someone else has looked at it and they say that it's fact as well. So yeah, once I did that, yeah, there were all type of excuses about my diagnosis. Now, I paid for the diagnosis and I paid them to tell me what I wanted to hear, or I'm just trying to prove other people wrong and that's not real, and like whatever. I really don't care, because I've always been a person that, like, I live in here. So what you say out there is not really affecting me that much. Like, it affects me, but not that much. I'm still going to do my own thing.
And how would you say their reactions made you feel?
I was angry, but I wasn't like distraught. I was disappointed and I was angry, because I'm like, people don't believe me. Like, not just with the autism thing. I find a lot of people just don't believe me. Even people that's not close to me. Like, when I'm just like talking about anything, just general stuff, like things I've experienced, or things I've seen, or just whatever, people tend to not believe me. And I don't know if that's related to the autism. I don't know if I'm telling the stories wrong. I don't know if I'm not like using the right language, like they're not getting it, but people tend to not believe me and I'm kind of used to it. So it's like, yeah, whatever.
And what would be some things people have said to you once you told everybody about your diagnosis?
Well, I wouldn't say I've told everybody about my diagnosis as of yet, but I'm definitely not ashamed of my diagnosis, so I'm very open about it. Um, but some of the things that people have said, I really haven't heard a lot of positive things. But some of the worst things that people have said were, I had someone say to me, "So you proud of this?" Like with a nasty attitude, and like I really shouldn't be saying this to people. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I'm proud of this, because I'm proud of me. I'm proud of who I am. And I always have been proud of who I am. And that doesn't change because I have a diagnosis. Like, I been this person. Like, I didn't become the diagnosis once I figured out I'm autistic. I'm the same person I was yesterday. So there's no need for me to be ashamed of who I am today, because now I'm aware that I'm autistic. Okay? I'm the same amazing person that I've been. Um, I've also had people say that I've changed since I've become aware that I'm autistic. And I really don't think that I've changed. I've been more open with my stems. I've been more open with my feelings. I don't hide when I'm overstimulated anymore. I used to make excuses. I used to say, like, oh, I got a headache, I need to go lay down, to get away from people or something, or just say, oh, my head hurts, the lights are bothering me because I got a headache, or oh, I just feel tired and I need to, whatever it is. Or like if I'm on the phone, like for instance with my kids, and my grandkids are like super loud in the background, like I just be like, I'm overstimulated, I gotta go. Like, but I used to just make up an excuse, like, oh, well, I gotta go do something, so I'm gonna call y'all later or whatever. Like, but I don't do that anymore. I don't make excuses to try to slip out of a situation, or try to cover up what I'm really feeling or what I'm really experiencing. I just will say, look, I'm not feeling this. I don't want to be around a lot of people today, or I don't want to be in these bright lights, or I don't want to hear all of this noise, or it's too many things playing in here. I got to get out. Like, I'm just going to say it. And also, I don't, because people have said that my appearance has changed as well, which is not true. I have been coloring my hair since I was a teenager. I was coloring my hair in these wild and crazy colors since I was old enough to do it myself. I would lighten my hair with peroxide, and I would put Kool-Aid in my hair to make it whatever color I wanted it to be. Like, this has been a thing for me forever. And the only thing that I've done different now is I have two colors in my hair now. And that's not something that I typically do. But it's still the same old me. Same old thing I've been doing. I just suppressed a lot of my feelings and suppressed the stems. But I've always been who I've always been. And people just really, a lot of people don't want to accept it. And I feel like there needs to be more awareness of what the spectrum is and what it can present like, because I feel like we all count, we all matter. There are different presentations, especially in the Black community. I feel like there is so different from what you would typically see most of the time. So, but I do have people in my family that fit the stereotypical presentation of autism. So that type does exist as well, and also in the Black community. So like, it's just the spectrum is just so huge. And I kept hearing that if you met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. And that is so true, because everybody that I know is autistic, or everybody that I have like seen on videos, or in support groups and things like that, like, everybody is just so different, but we share things in common. And that's what people need to understand. Just like neurotypical people are different and they share things in common, you have neurotypical buttholes and you have autistic buttholes too. And you have kind neurotypical people and you have autistic people that are kind. Like, everybody has personalities, everybody has their own experiences, their backgrounds of where they're coming from, how they were raised. So it all plays a part in it. And I really feel like people just need to start understanding and treating us like people and not like the others, because a lot of times that's how I feel like people don't know how to act around autistic people, or once they find out that you're autistic. At least has been my experience with it. So that concludes my video. This is just, I guess, the intro to my channel. And I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys got an understanding of kind of who I am. And hopefully I'll be putting out many more. Well, I'm not going to say hopefully. I am going to be putting out many more videos. And I'm not going to let my perfectionism stop me. I'm just going to record and we're going to go for it. So I'll be seeing you guys in future videos, doing more explanations of my spot on the spectrum. Like and subscribe, and see you soon.